Hi everyone, you are listening to Prophet Hour.
This is Tom.
This is Carolina.
This is Helena.
This is Luce.
And this is Sookie.
And we have had a long goddamn week. Our friends at Profound Radio, the main one, have basically done the ranting and raving that the most of the fandom has been doing. So we're going to attempt to remain calm through this, but rest assured there's been raging aplenty. We do have some interesting solo articles. We're going to have some discussion on the topic that you, the audience, voted on later on, as well as some live discussion on new turns of events. First up for our and I apologize also if I sound stranger than normal, because I am sick in addition to the demon mic, so thankfully the rest of my co-hosts are they're having some sound issues. No, Harry, that's probably just me. Like I said, I'm sick and have a demon mic. And
if the sound is too loud, they should also say so. If it might be too loud, then we can fix that.
That's just the voice.
You just have to.
Okay, it was just.
We can just blame Tom. It's okay.
Okay, looks like we're good. Would not be a part of Profound Radio without technical issues on someone's part. So, without further ado, our own Lucy, aka Fuck Yes, Lucifer Supernatural, is up first.
All right. So today I have something happy to share with you guys. It's a pretty feels-good analysis. Let me just look at my notes and. Yeah, okay, just joking. It's a typo. I guess I accidentally misspelled depressing with happy. And... oh, my Sorry. Just joking. So, today I'm going to talk about Reapers and Supernatural and continuity issues we've seen with Reapers in Season 8 and Season 9. And, as a disclaimer, there is an extremely fleshed out version of this analysis that will be available right after this episode. For the sake of brevity, a lot of has been taken out and summarized. So also, just as a quick disclaimer, I will be discussing issues with consent that ties into Reapers. So, the importance of discussing Reapers, especially after the previous episode, is because Reapers are currently having a more prevalent role to play that strays from their usual neutral, natural order status. We've learned in Season 8 that they are freelancers, Reapers who can become these supernatural coyotes, and now guns for hire. And this is such a tremendous shift and jump from lore that we've seen from Season 1 to 7. And just like me trying to pull the wool over Tom's eyes, it seems no one can keep their story straight, something I'm sure Tom can attest to. So what we first learned about Reapers is that Reapers are invisible to living humans. It's only when close to death and in death can Reapers be seen by humans. They're capable of stopping time, moving from place to place quickly, and incredibly difficult to be stopped when on the job. And in Season 2, Episode 1, In My Time of Dying, we see our first real conversation with the Reaper, and the role Reapers play is further fleshed out. While their appearances are originally terrifying at first, referring back to Faith and Tessa when we first encounter her, we see that they are capable of manipulating themselves in such a way to comfortably converse with the spirit they're trying to bring in. It even expands to the area around them, Tessa claiming that when she is showing Dean these manipulations to the hospital, it is her quote-unquote sandbox, that she can alter the environment to help her do her job. And this job pertains to not only being a collector of souls, but also creating open dialogue with the spirit in this preparation and closure of their lives. So we can confidently state that Tessa is not on the physical plane and possessing a human to interact with Dean, instead just manipulating and pulling the strings on the other side to present herself in a relatable and comforting manner and create this open dialogue between Dean, who has been invading the inevitable. And it's always been the case in Supernatural from Season 1 to 7 that to interact with a Reaper, you need to be dying and or dead. And this is seen in Death Takes a Holiday in Season 4, Appointment in Samara in Season 6, and Death's Door in Season 7. And just as quick recap, Death Takes a Holiday, Sam and Dean have become spirits themselves to search for the kidnapped Reaper and fix the town. an appointment in Samara, Dean pays Dr. Robert for his services and putting his body into a state of death for 3 minutes so Dean can converse with Tessa. But it also introduces another in which living humans can interact with Reapers, view death, and see what's behind the curtain, which is when Dean puts on Death's ring. Thus, to interact with the Reaper as a living being, the exception to the rule is Death's ring. However, at that moment, the wearer of the ring is under the assumptive role of Death himself. So, in Death's story in Season 7, we actually see a Reaper fetching Bobby from his own skull due to him being in a coma. However, he's still in a state of dying, so this episode does not deviate from the norm in regards to Reapers, and it should be noted, however, that beings such as Castiel and Crowley are able to go view Death and Reapers and whatnot. So, continuing on this description of Reapers can be grabbed, but not by living flesh, but by spirit and the supernatural. We see in Dean, in My Time of Dying, able to grab at Tessa for a moment before she hurls him back away from his physical body. We also see a spirit can be touched, spirits can touch Reapers and also be possessed by demons. However, only Azazel has been seen to possess a Reaper, and Azazel has been known as being more powerful than your average demon. So it may just be that a creature of Azazel's strength is capable of pulling the smooth, and we also see that demons are capable of manhandling Reapers. Alistair, one of Hell's top torturers and a powerful demon, is capable of grabbing and trapping Reapers in use of breaking one of the seals. So he was able to physically pull the Reaper away from the soul he was reaping and Tessa in that episode. So once again, it may just be a matter of powerful demon versus a local Reaper. And to add upon that, we also see others, such as humans, bind Reapers. With Sue-Ann and Faith, they required black magic, and so Sam makes a statement on the binding of Reapers on the lines of, it's like putting a dog leash on a great white. So we see through this episode and later that abusing a Reaper's power takes a great show of twisting their leg, and that there are severe consequences in abusing their power. Let's not forget how terrifying that Reaper was in Season 1 when it finally freed from Sue-Ann's control. That smile was incredibly creepy. And let's not forget how terrifying Death himself can be. Lucifer binding Death to his will and making Death his weapon is not only a powerful and forward move, but it was one that carried tremendous risk. So, overall, what I gathered from that is that Season 1 through 7, Reapers are diligent and focused in their line of work, unwilling to cut corners or stray from their purpose. That there is this natural order that must be maintained. After all, isn't the only thing certain in life is death? But when that natural order is disrupted, such as the local Reaper, and Death takes a holiday, it greatly disrupts the sheer ebb and flow of the environment. Meaning, when a Reaper is not present to do its job, or not do its job correctly, chaos is the result. But we honestly see in Season 8, in Taxi Driver, the role of Reapers drastically change. You know, a demon introduces the boys that the way to get into hell uninvited is through rogue Reapers for a price. And just the entirety of the roles of Reapers have changed in that the boys can simply approach a Reaper, able to view them as someone else. And this dismantles the rule that Reapers can only be seen by the dead, the dying, supernatural beings by wearing Death's ring. It now shifts in that the Reapers are capable of possessing a human for the sake of business. And the irony is that Reapers are these literal carriers of souls, and now we have a Reaper being housed by a soul, if there even is a soul inside to begin with. So, in Death Takes a Holiday, it was only a trap created by Alistair to keep Tessa and the other Reaper in place, preventing her from leaving Alistair's clutches. Yet in Taxi Driver, we watch Crowley lock the doors of the cab, and AJ, the Reaper, tries to open the cab door to escape. And AJ doesn't utilize any Reaper gifts in avoiding his death, yet was seen earlier in the episode transporting Sam to purgatory with profound ease. And so these poor tactics are continued in I'm No Angel, in that a Reaper foolishly decides to moonlight himself and remains visible to harm's way by wearing a human. It was kind of embarrassing watching the Reaper track the Winchesters in plain daylight, while he has every tool in his belt to remain unseen. Secondly, the Reaper does not escape from harm's way when caught. Just like AJ, the Reaper becomes forgetful of its heritage and powers, ending up being tortured via Angel Blade. And another aspect that was continued from Season 8's Reaper lore mistake was Reapers being able to be bought in regards to allegiance. And we see another Reaper turning away from the role and lending his services to a side, specifically Bartholomew, when before it has been stated that Reapers do not play in favor of certain sides. Reapers have shown they cannot be bribed when it comes to dealing with passing souls. So why suddenly interested in bribery? and has even escalated to utilizing Reapers as guns for hire. And to add upon the dilemma and continuity of Reaper lore, there's an issue of consent that we've never seen from a Reaper before. So, consent is needed by a spirit to the Reaper to escort the spirit to the afterlife. Tessa explains to Dean that there is a choice. He can stay or he can go, even making sure to make him aware of the consequences that will come if he chooses to stay. This is again seen in Death Takes a Holiday, with Tessa and Dean explaining the consequences of staying, but acknowledging that Cole, the young boy that they're just talking to, has every right to stay as a spirit around his mother. And the same is reiterated in Season 7, Death's Door, Bobby's Reaper explaining that he can continue to evade being escorted to the afterlife, that he isn't forced to come with him, but that the consequences of remaining a spirit still upholds to him. So as mentioned in my previous analysis, consent is about the respect of autonomy and giving the other side the opportunity to make a choice with all the information before them. And what we see in the previous episode is a Reaper not only possessing April through emotional vulnerability, implying that she did not fully explain to April what the Reaper would be using her body for, but also engaging in non-consensual intercourse with Castiel in a body it gained no true consent from. And she explains to Castiel that she decides to gain his trust and information on him through intercourse, her justification being that she is, quote-unquote, allowed some leeway for executive decision. So this is a harsh difference from the portrayal of Reapers through this season, and completely out of character from the personification Reapers have been given and developed throughout the show. Now Reapers are selfish, they manipulate, they're not bound by the traditional rules of consent that Reapers always held. They will now utilize their own human vessels for their own gains. They're now well-versed in torture and ignorant of their own powers established in the past seasons. So what's curious is that when April died, it was certainly more angelic-esque, meaning bigger, brighter light show with a slight ear-piercing sound effect than AJ. And it certainly is blurring the lines between angels and Reapers that were never present before. So when you have Reapers in Season 8 and 9 that willfully stray from their roles, one has to consider the implications. It means that death is no longer a constant construct. Could imply that the duties the Reapers was meant to uphold is no longer being attended to, which could certainly lead to something similar, like a town remaining unchecked in Death Takes a Holiday. It certainly looks unprofessional on Death's part, unable to keep his own workers on the job, which is difficult to accept, especially when Death, in Appointment Samara, explains that it's not quite enjoyable and a hassle when you have to clean up the mess when natural order is unhinged. And it seems unbelievable to assume that Death would idly stand by and let his own workers destroy up that natural order. So on that note, what's also baffling to me is that the dynamics of the Rogue Reapers in regards to their own safety and hierarchy, it seems incredibly unwise to turn away from death and work as a coyote, which requires being visible to others and risking the consequences from death himself. And the profit that they are gained seems frivolous, but the profit gained by those who use the Reapers benefit profusely. So are the Reapers taking a Balthasarian approach, the quote-unquote might as well blow coke and jump on the bed? The difference between Balthasar is that he grabbed at that freedom out of inspiration from Castiel, but also under the assumption that God was no longer present. Death is always present. So the train of thought and logic as to why a Reaper would discard his duties and abuse his powers for his own selfish means is incredibly difficult to swallow. And it certainly feels like the writers were grabbing at anything that they could push the plot, which was managing to get into hell and fetch Bobby's soul for one of the trials. So in the end, to just conclude all of this, the real question is, what will the writers do to solve and cover up this issue in continuity? That is that, my happy topic.
Very happy.
Wasn't it great? Yeah.
Fun shit.
Okay, so can I just...
Sorry, go ahead.
Can I just go on, or does anyone want to add something to Lucy?
I mean, there's definitely more that I didn't mention just because...
of course.
You guys don't understand. It's literally 10 pages that I wrote, and I had to chop it up to like 2.5. 10 pages, guys. So it will be available in less than an hour, actually. So, holy shit.
Follow her on Tumblr.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going on.
That's it. Fuck yes, Lucifer Supernatural.
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm going to talk about the development of Dean's moral code, and in connection to that, a bit of his character development. And I'm also at the end going to allude to the fact that Dean's morality is apparently non-valid when it comes to family and especially to Sam. And I think I have to. No. Do you hear my Skype?
You're right there?
Hear the notifications? Okay, good. Then I don't have to turn it off.
You're completely fine.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, I have to say that my Meter 2 is a shortened version of what I was actually planning to do, because I'm going to cover up all of the 8 seasons and the bit of the 9th season that we already have. So this meter really has no claim of integrity, and if you want to know more or my more detailed opinion on certain episodes or topics regarding Dean's moral code, you can also just message me on my Tumblr, and I will try to answer your questions as well as possible. Okay, so the development of Dean's moral code is one of the strongest indicators for his character development in general. With everything he went through, some of its aspects have changed radically and some have stayed the same. At the beginning of Season 1, Dean is introduced as a character with a very strong black and white view of the world. His moral code is corresponding to this. Basically, humans are good and monsters, ghosts and demons are bad. He doesn't reflect or question any of this. The whole saving people, hunting things policy, with everything it includes, was highly imprinted on him by John. Now, this might be one of the few good things John has taught him, although, of course, just as everything actually concerning John, this has a negative ring to it too. Dean is a killing machine, or at least he tries to convince his father that he is one. He's the good little soldier, the obedient son, and every sign of further development and a more varying moral code is shown when John isn't there or Dean doesn't think about him. For example, exercising Meg with Bobby's help and trying to actually save the girl she possesses in 122. This is pretty much what drives Dean's morality in the first 3 seasons, but even at this point, family is and will ever be an exception when it comes to how Dean judges a situation. Working with any kind of monster or supernatural being he knows would never be an option. He doesn't approve of John making a demon deal for him, for understandable and obvious reasons. And the guilt he has to go through is one of the driving forces during a huge part of Season 2. Yet, he pushes the same guilt onto Sam by making a deal with the Crossroads demon himself in All Hell Breaks Loose, just because he can't let go of Sam. He doesn't even make an exception when it comes to his own life, really only for Sam. Dean doesn't even consider working with Ruby and using Sam's demonic powers to save his own life, leading to him being brutally killed by Lilith's Hellhound in No Rest for the Wicked. When he comes back from hell, Dean is broken. He has tortured souls, and this made him realize a lot of things he hasn't had to think about. The pleasure of killing and hurting monsters is nothing new. Dean just never really reflected about it before. It is frightening for Dean to finally come to terms with what John has made out of him, what his life has made out of him, for that matter. This experience is changing him radically, and as painful and horrible his self-loathing and witnessing it on screen has been for us, it is what finally gives him the strength and the necessary motivation to reevaluate everything he has believed in. Another important role plays the confirmation that angels exist, that there is good in this world, and that not everything has to be dark and evil. Dean finds himself suddenly dragged to the front line of a war that he is not ready to fight, and he has to rethink everything he ever believed in. The end marks another breaking point in the way Dean sees his actions. He's confronted with things he never had to think about before. He finally realizes that Cass is willing to stay with him. For someone who has experienced abandonment practically for all his life, this is a huge thing. Then there is Sam, who has eventually said yes to Lucifer, something Dean has been convinced he would never do. He finally sees that he's not only responsible for his own life and saving Sam from dying, but that there is a whole new range of responsibility that came with the new role he has in the war between heaven and hell. He matures a lot throughout these seasons and generally reflects more before he does something. Season 6 and 7 don't give Dean a lot room for character development, and therefore his moral development as well. In general, there isn't a lot of character development going on in these 2 seasons at all. So I'm not going to talk about this right now because this would just make the meter even longer. And again, just feel free to message me about this. Now, let's get to season 8. Season 8 was a great season concerning a lot of things, but especially concerning Dean's character development. Dean finally frees himself from a lot of John's influence, and therefore from what he taught Dean is the one and only way to go. Dean starts to accept himself. Dean starts to accept himself more and more, coming to terms with his own needs and wishes. At the same time, he feels better about himself in general and doesn't drown in self-loathing and lack of self-worth anymore. With himself finally playing an important role in his own life, his morality takes a turn in which it isn't self-destructive anymore. Getting to the last part of my meter, Dean makes one of the biggest exceptions from how he would usually act and make decisions in Sacrifice. And the only reason he is doing this is because it is Sam's life at risk. Dean is willing to let every monster and every demon go just to save his brother's life, and as we all know, this is not the first time this happened. Family, and especially Sam, are always going to be the big exception from everything for Dean. In the end, again, Dean tells his future self that something is broken in him for killing the guy that was supposedly infected with the Crotone virus. The Dean of the first seasons would not have even flinched to kill someone who was infected with it. Connected to that is the episode in season 2, the Crotone episode, in which Dean doesn't shoot the boy just because Sam said he feels bad about it and that he isn't sure. Moreover, he tortures Alistair in on the head of a pin despite his PTSD just because Cass tells him there is no other way. Shipping completely set aside, because even I don't see Destiel in season 4, Dean has someone who has grown strangely important to him tell him that he needs to do something and that there is no other option, so he does it. These are just a few examples of times in which Dean completely changes his usual behavior because someone he's close with tells him to. This alone is a huge difference from Dean in the first season, who only trusted his own judgment. Season 9 finds Dean at a point where he has to make a lot of decisions against what he really believes in. We've already seen him struggle with the guilt that brings along, and we know that this guilt is going to be one of the driving forces of Dean's behavior during at least a few of the following episodes. Nevertheless, Dean himself becomes more and more the center of his own world, which in his case is only a positive attribution to his morality and his character in general. In his case, this is the last turn he has to take to a positive character development that I am convinced will keep going for the time to come. He's on the best way to finally put himself before other people and to realize that he can neither save everyone nor is it his duty. Personally, I'm convinced that we will be able to see a lot of development concerning Dean in season 9 too, probably rather in the second half, since the current situation keeps him in an exceptional state for a very long period of time. I, for my part, am looking forward to how this is going to play out, but I think that it will take a positive turn and that Dean isn't going to fall back into old behaviors like a lot of people are actually fearing. Yes, and I'm very crappy at endings because I always go high with my noise, but this was it.
We're all just crying over Dean right now, so it's fine.
Dean!
I tried to make it positive. I tried to make it positive.
We all did.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, we all did. And speaking of, mine was supposed to be a positive one as well. But given recent changes tonight, it's slightly turned into the depressing area towards the end. But, you know, what do you expect with Supernatural?
Yeah. So, with us.
On the note of... yeah, go down. Anything anyone want to add?
It all hurts.
It does. Okay, so as it actually, what Carolina said about Dean's character development it smooths well into my own segment, which would be one about the talked about topic of codependency and what Castiel's role might be here. Because, and I will get to this, given the recent episode, I cling to the positive aspect of Dean's character development. So, first of all, we can all pat ourselves on the back for surviving yet another painful episode of Supernatural. I think we owe ourselves this.
Thank you.
Yes, and us and the people listening in, obviously, the entire fandom. Secondly, I shall just go right down to it. And I always expected that not many of us saw that ending coming. Because I know myself and some of our colleagues here have had a lot of theories in mind about how it would go down, but two stood out. One of them was either Dean telling Cass to go would be an extremely emotional scene, or that Dean would somehow lash out to make it easier on himself on the topic of Cass having to leave. But I, for one, did not expect it happening that abruptly, because I was sitting there on the edge of my chair, waiting for the break to end, because I was so excited about seeing what theory they would go with. But as some would say, I was left hanging because that scene, the last scene, felt incomplete and not even rushed as much as abrupt. But I will refrain from commenting more on this matter, because if they might link it to the beginning of episode 4, maybe we will get some closure in that aspect. But as with other situations, this one is just a wait and see. But moving on from that, I would like to address an issue that has always been present during Supernatural discussions and throughout the fandom, which is the Winchester brothers' codependency, or rather yet Dean's unwillingness to let Sam go. So we've all seen it over the course of 8th season, we've all discussed it, and we all mostly agree on it. Sam will always come first, above all else. And some of you might still feel strongly about it after what happened at the end of episode 3 of season 9. But I would just like to point out one of the scenes in the episode, and I'm sorry about this, but it's the scene in which the boys find Castiel. So at this point in the episode, after April has slammed the guys all over the place, and Dean takes an angel blade to her and ends it all, we cue in the horribly heartbreaking moment in which Dean's voice breaks and almost loses it at the possibility of a dead Cass. So we have had some very emotional scenes throughout this show, but this one, for me personally, it takes over the crypt scene and the episode 7 reunion, because, and hats off to Jensen, he brings it good, and that was raw emotion right there, if I ever saw so. So moving on, Ezekiel has just healed Cass and stumbled backwards against the wall, letting Sam take the wheel, no pun intended. I would very much like for you to notice the next moment that happens carefully, because Dean almost calls out to Sam. He takes a slight step towards his direction, but just hesitates for a moment before Cass wakes up and calls out Dean's name, to which Dean replies by rushing to his side. And personally, this moment really marked down further character development as far as Dean Winchester is concerned. Because while it may seem not so relevant or a small step to some, given the situation, Dean did go to Cass. He was literally pulled into, and he went to Cass. Believe it or not, I think it is a very important scene for the beginning of the end of what we all came to know as an unhealthy codependency. But this just brings me to more depressing theories, and it all begs the question, are we starting to see a bit of the same thing where Cass and Dean are concerned? Because we have pretty much drawn the conclusion that Cass needs Dean now more than ever. And judging by that painful scene I mentioned earlier, Dean refuses to let Cass die. And not just based on season 9's episode 3, this has always happened, especially during the Leviathan fiasco. And even if the line was cut out of the script, we'll hang out onto the line that Dean was supposed to say to Cass in the Born Again Identity. I guess I just always believed you'd come back. Hence Dean's prayer in the season premiere, and Dean fervently mouthing, "Come on, come on," when witnessing Ezekiel attempting to kill Cass. Dean will not let him die, and the look on his face is that of a man who is not willing to let Cass go. And this brings the question if we can see a pattern of dependency forming over on this side as well, because this has been developing for quite some time. I mean, beside the episodes I just mentioned, I mean, just look at Purgatory. And when we also look at it from Cass's point of view, he has been falling and putting everything on the line for Dean and Sam for years now. And he has arrived to the stage that is finally coming to a halt. When he is falling apart, and at this stage he is relying on the brothers whom he himself called good teachers, but he is especially relying on Dean. He has done everything for Dean, up to and including falling and dying. And much as Dean cannot say no to Cass, Cass cannot say no to Dean either, which will lead us pretty nicely into what Cass might be feeling now that he's human, and after the last scene of episode 3, because his feelings as a human will be more intense now that he's not an angel anymore. And to end this on an open note, he feels much more strongly about certain issues, and while he still has faith in humanity, the humanity he came to love through Sam and Dean's perspective, he will not just let this one slide as far as Dean is concerned, not Sam's possession and not Dean sending him away. He will not let this go easily.
Right. Very, very right. Does anyone want to add something to that before I go into my segment?
Yes, I'm crying.
Okay.
My heart broke.
Good.
And actually, I do, to answer the question of Maya Luna in chat, honestly, I don't think we will. I don't think they're gonna give us an answer to that you have to go conversation, the rest of it. I think they're just gonna drop it and give us like maybe 3 lines. I really, really hope, though, that we see the fallout when Sam finds out, but I think, no, they're not going to give us that whole conversation. They rushed that episode way too much.
They might just go mention, like you said, mention it or something. I don't even think they're going to show us Sam's reaction, because it's going to be a few days
It is a string of issues over here. First of all, I don't think they will give us a continuation of episode 3 at the beginning of episode 4. They might mention something, but we're not really sure, because apparently the order of the episodes was switched. It was supposed to be the Oz episode was supposed to be episode 3 or something like that. So I don't think we will be getting much reaction out of anyone, not Sam and not Dean. And if we do, it will just be mentioned. It sucks, I know it does.
Maybe episode 5.
But
I don't
know. Maybe next season.
Who knows? No.
I don't know. It's going to be hard for them to pull out anything good out of that shitstorm. But, actually, speaking of pulling out good things from that shitstorm, Sookie has Helena, if you're done, Sookie actually has a solo article on us for Castiel and his experiences with humanity thus far.
Yeah. It was supposed to be positive, and it's kind of positive, but I can't promise that it won't end negative.
Oh, you're changing yours too.
No. It's sort of positive. It's positive for Cass anyway. I come out of this as the bad guy, as you will notice by the end of my talk. Basically, so far we've seen Cass as a person with 2 very different personality aspects. him as a strong warrior of heaven, and him trying to understand the confusion that is humans. And the writers have been able to incorporate both parts of his personality quite well so far. Sometimes better than others, as we can agree. Some writers do this better than others, but most of the time he hasn't felt out of character that much. Of course, this is generalization, so sometimes it feels quite weird for Cass, but then in the episode that just passed, we heard him describe himself as having been naive, um, which was interesting because Cass has always been naive, in my opinion. Angels, they all have flaws and they make mistakes, and Castiel's biggest mistake and biggest flaw is his naivety. It's almost like Castiel doesn't know distrust at all. He called himself naive, referring back to when he worked with Metatron, but when he said that, I wanted to yell at the screen, "You've always been naive. You've always worked with the wrong people. You've always made he always has had to admit to Dean that he's been tricked by someone or other." And if he had thought about things a little bit longer, or even talked to the brothers about some stuff, especially during season 6, maybe he wouldn't have been tricked in the first place. So my thought is that he's very quick to jump to the aid of someone or something that gets him eventually into a bad place. When he was first introduced to the show, the writers wanted to make an impression with a powerful angel instead of a cute, fluffy one, which did succeed in the first few episodes. But as we all noticed, Cass became some kind of comic relief to some extent. So the warrior of God versus this naive little funny angel is a subtle push and pull for Castiel, who is not a baby, but often comes across as one when he is put into a situation that is not weird to humans but weird to him. And on an extra on the season 8 DVD, Angel Warrior, it is said that his understanding of human emotions is naive, even though he's been studying humans for such a long time. Robert Singer says he saw in the boys the worth of humanity and became enamored with humanity, channeled through Sam and Dean. This naivety may be caused by his believing in the goodness of people. Up to this point, we've seen the show mainly through Dean's and Sam's eyes, which is quite a depressing perspective. But now that Cass is the main character, let's briefly yell out in joy for that, because that took a while. But now he is the main character, and he might be naive. It could be refreshing to see the third main character now, humanity, in such a positive way, like he does. It was said on the show that too much heart is his problem. He never sees the bad in anyone, even sometimes the bad guys. He works with Crowley after Crowley offers it, because Crowley knows how easily persuaded Cass is. Cass always believes in everyone's good intentions, or in Crowley's case, he wanted to use him for his own intent to resolve the war in heaven. In season 4, after the angels call him back to heaven because he got too close to Dean, he immediately does so. So he's very easily persuaded, or, well, brainwashed in some cases, I suppose. But the way that he looks at humanity is really positive. And since he has been human, let's move into season 9 now, because now he is human. He's been through nothing but crap, and he still sees only the positive in humanity. Why? Because he did that while he was an angel too. It's just a general, it's an aspect of his personality. But my problem with it is the following. After every season that he's been in, you would think he would have learned not to be so trusting of everyone and everything, especially after losing his grace. It's great. I mean, it's really great that he has such a big heart. But when he says, naivety is one of Kaz's big personality traits, and it's what makes him unique as an angel, as a warrior of God. all of the other angels we've seen on the show have been in it for their own good. They've been distrusting. They've been loyal to God, to themselves, but they've never been loyal to humanity. And Gas is loyal to everything. Gas is loyal to everything but himself. He's never loyal to himself. Like Dean said in the first episode of this new season, I'm begging you for once, look out for yourself. But he still didn't want to. He wanted to help Hale. And this wanting to help everyone and trusting everyone is what gets him into trouble time and time again. Season 7 and Leviathan happened because he wanted to stop the war in heaven, not because he felt like having some power. But so being trusting isn't a bad thing, or seeing the good in people isn't a bad thing. But with Castiel, it's moving into the extreme of not ever seeing anything bad in anyone. And of course with this I mean angels and humans. I don't mean demons, because obviously he can be quite the warrior again when it concerns demons. But yeah, let me go back to season 9, because I kind of lost my whole point here. He lost his grace, he's human, and what does he do? He still trusts everyone, he still believes everything. After being homeless on the street, betrayed time and time again, we expect him to develop some negative feelings about this new state of being. But, being Cass, at the end of the episode, he gives this speech to Dean about how humanity is so positive. He's homeless. Oh, humanity is great. There's hope and there's something to work towards. He doesn't have any food. Oh, humanity is great because kindness of strangers and they give me food and I have a shelter and so forth. But now, after he gets kicked out of the bunker by Dean, Dean, the person who he's always trusted the most, I think we can agree that Dean is his go-to guy. After 903, we might see this different side of him, because Dean kicked him out, and what will his reaction be? Maybe this betraying of Dean and lying to him will finally break this naivety. When they reunite, maybe Cass will, as we know, Cass will act like a jilted lover, so maybe he's finally going to experience these negative feelings. Now, I might come across as the bad guy to want Cass to experience negative feelings, but now he's human, and he has to deal with all aspects of humanity. We haven't seen emotional aspects of humanity for him that he has experienced. So far, he's been staying the same emotionally by seeing the good, and only had to deal with physical aspects of his new humanity: hunger, lust, and homelessness, for one. And he still remains positive, because with those physical aspects he can learn and resolve, and he knows how to. He can resolve hunger by eating, he can resolve lust by having sex, he can resolve homelessness by going to a homeless people's shelter. With these physical aspects, he can find a solution. But with the emotional ones, how will he be able to fix himself? He won't know how to fix depression. He won't know how to fix the betrayal by Dean that will obviously make him feel the most horrible things. And okay, I hope that happens, which makes me a bad guy. But another thing that I wanted to point out is that Cass might think that Dean kicked him out because he's not useful anymore, which even makes the betrayal bigger, because he thought that he was their friend, and by Dean kicking him out, Dean may have proved himself to only having used Cass for his angel abilities. And Cass doesn't know that Dean doesn't care, because his prayer never got to him. So, which is also something that I didn't like. But I'm curious to see how he will deal with being lied to by Dean, with someone like Dean betraying his trust, because they obviously have a very special relationship. And the fact that it is Dean that did this may cause him to get into a bad spiritual level, and he might not be able to get out of it anymore, because he won't know how to. Yeah. Does anyone have any comments on that? Seth.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I just want to mention about Cass's positivity. We have gone through, not including season 8, we have gone through 7 whole seasons of somewhat parallels between humanity and monsters of the week, and humanity viewed through Sam and Dean, which, let's be honest, was not all that positive. So when Cass, well, I could understand Cass as an angel being positive towards humanity because he still loved God and he still thought his creations, the humans, were beautiful and in a positive and all aspects positive about it. But even after he became human, and right off the bat, he experienced the some of the worst things you can experience as a human. The fact that he remained positive, and while a bit naive to some, the fact that he still had faith in humanity after all of this was really refreshing when it comes to Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to mention this because it is. It is. We
Yeah.
have seen the worst in people, and we've even had an episode where humans were hunting other humans, and it was refreshing that Cass could still keep that faith in humanity. I know I would never be able to do that.
Yeah, going if I can just say,
Well, I
going
mean,
back to
Maybe you
oh yeah, go ahead, Tom.
go for it, Sookie. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to mention the end where Cass is, where we see him being, well, kind of human, a little while longer than we've seen him now. He is still, I don't think he's very negative in that episode as well. He's enjoying the parts of being human, like you
Yeah,
said.
and
Oh, I think he's actually pretty damn negative in the end. It's just that he's blown out the other side and doesn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, well,
Not about himself, not about the world, not about anything but what Dean says they need to do.
In the burrito.
yes, that's true. And this is why, as you know, and they mentioned this in the season 8 DVD extra, Angel Warrior, the story of Castiel, that Cass became enamored with humanity through Sam and Dean's eyes. And even if he had faith in humanity and positivity, he had no, let's just call it, no personal stake in it. But whereas with Dean and Sam, and especially Dean, as Sookie mentioned, Dean was the one telling him to leave, and this might just be the trigger that starts him off on the negative road. I'm sorry to get everyone down, but I don't think we'll see a positive Castiel that much as we've seen before.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, like you said, you don't think that you would be able to be that positive, and I know I sure as hell wouldn't. But again, we are human. We grew up human. He's a fucking seraph. Well,
Yes.
or was anyway. I mean, at the core, that's still his lived experience. His billions of years of experience is as a seraph. So he, it hasn't really sunk in. We've dealt all our lives, our 20 some odd, 30 some odd years of having to deal with, eating and excretion and sleep deprivation and hunger and money troubles and just all this horrible, nasty, gross, unpleasant bullshit that comes with humanity. And we know what's in store for him. And he's, as Hunger said, he doesn't grok it yet. And for those who are familiar with that term, it means to understand wholly in every aspect. He knows about this stuff, but he doesn't have the practice yet. So he's still pretty optimistic and trying to make the most of it. Carol, what do you have to say?
I just wanted to point to the chat because was it Caleb? Caleb said,
Yes, and
can we discuss that Castiel might still be suicidal, and again continuity being thrown out the window if he's not anymore. So I think if Castiel is going to take a negative or a road to negative emotions and a negative image of humanity, because he's just going to experience all the bad stuff, and he will, I think that he's going to again load the guilt onto himself because he did this to his brothers and sisters. He actively helped kicking them out of heaven, and now they are walking the earth. And not all of the angels are as organized as the ones we saw in I'm No Angel.
Yes. And this will strongly...
And the last time... Sorry. And the last time he talked about that he might... that he's thinking about killing himself was when he literally destroyed heaven, when he destroyed the order in heaven and everything was chaotic. And now he created this chaos again. And this might actually be a good basis for him to retreat to these thoughts.
Yes, and that fueled by the fact that when he first admitted to that he might kill himself if he saw that, he had Dean to confide into. And this will be strongly fueled by the fact that it was Dean who, let's say, kicked him out. And it's not only the guilt of him getting all the angels out of heaven, his brothers and sisters, it's and add that to him thinking that he put the brothers in danger by doing so because Dean told him to leave. He has no conclusion to draw here. So yeah, I think we need to sort of brace ourselves for in future episodes for a Castiel that might not be what we have seen him be so far. And I'm not saying the end version of Castiel, but we need to brace ourselves for something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good note to end the topic on because we're running over time. Tom, let's move on to...
Yes.
And so yeah, the last of the solo ones. I'm wrapping up this segment with my own. After 9.03, I keep wanting to call it 6.03. I'm so just fucking dyslexic. After 9.03, I thought, what the fuck am I going to do my meta on? I am so done with this. This is just... I did not like the episode, as anyone who follows my blog can tell. I've been pretty fucking angry all this week. So the topic that I did come up with is not actually specifically about 9.03, but it will touch on 9.03. And it comes from the Bartholomew thing and the church scene thing, both of which struck me as not new things. As a matter of fact, to kind of jump sideways a bit to introduce this, and again, I'm so sorry I sound so even weirder than normal, so stuffed up. There is a thing called the Mary, Mary, Mary merger in American dialects and accents. Those three words, Mary the name, Mary the to join in marriage, and Mary as in happy, in UK English sounds distinctly different, but in American dialects they don't. So due to this vowel merger, the words pray as in to pray for help and pray as in to predate on something sound almost exactly the same. And this sets us up for a pretty interesting conflation in Supernatural. Preying on prayer. Now, trust and betrayal of trust have been long-standing recurring themes from the beginning up till now. It's a big thing in season 9. It's been big in the past. It's pretty much one of the driving dramas of Supernatural. But there is a specific subset of that that comes from the fact that prayer, it has a power to it in this setting. So anything that has power can be abused. So it leads to prayer being used and being weaponized by three main groups: humans, elder gods and angels. With humans, we haven't seen too many examples of it, but they are pretty poignant. When humans prey on prayer, they use it others' religious beliefs to indirectly kill. Started in Faith 1.12, where the preacher's wife takes advantage not only of the congregation's faith, but her husband's faith that what's happening is a gift from God, so that she can indirectly murder people that she hates because of her religion's dogma. She is predating their prayers in a literal sense. There's 2:13 where the ghost of a human priest thinks that he's become an angel, and he appears to people to make them murder for him. And pardon me.
Beautiful.
Jesus, sorry.
It's all fine. It's all fine.
Season 1 in general, sorry. John Winchester preys on Dean's faith in him, which is less a religious thing and more of a secular faith, obviously. Preys on Dean's faith in him to string his boys along to get them to kill for him, to get them to go out and hunt things for him. This is actually deconstructed in 7.1, Meet the New Boss, when Castiel, or Godstiel, calls out and kills a hypocritical preacher who's been drumming up hate for the pulpit. So the humans using prayer, praying on prayer is the most insidious grouping of these, because it keeps the responsible party's hands clean as far as the law goes, because how are you going to prove that you're using a reaper to kill a gay teacher? And it's very similar to things that happen in real life without the supernatural element. Next group is the elder gods, who prey literally on praying humans. They use human religions to get food. So this was introduced in Scarecrow 111, where a Vanir, a member of the Vanir, demands human sacrifices. That's the one with the apple orchard. Demands human sacrifice in exchange for a town's prosperity. Basically holds the whole town ransom in order to get people to eat, to kill and consume. Then 3.8 is very supernatural. I'm trying to breathe through. Very supernatural Christmas gave us a pretty interesting look that was actually continued throughout. They stated that the elder gods used to have people sacrifice themselves to them, that the food would come to them willingly, but now they have to go out and do their own rituals and get their own food. And that tactic continued on through the series, where as opposed to them having followers come to them, they had to go get it. And the most recent example we saw that was in 803 Heartache, where there was an elder god who turned a guy into an immortal heart eater, and then the organs of that guy turned other people into heart eaters. So that's their literal examples. And I think I might end up running late on this. I'm sorry. And then there are a lot of examples, and I mean a lot of examples of angels using this, where how angels do this is they reveal themselves to humans, especially those who have been praying, and they reveal themselves and use the status that human religion holds angels in to get their way. There is one sole example of this being used in a non-malicious way, and that's when Castiel comes to Jimmy Novak. He was kind of in a hurry, but he still kind of took advantage of Jim Novak's faith to score a body. Jimmy Novak was apparently praying for whatever, but Castiel answered his prayers and took over his body, and now Jim's dead. So awesome. In general, in season 4, angels were using Dean Samley's. Pardon? Sorry.
Okay?
Angels were using Dean Samley's. Yeah, they're kind of breaking in and out. Then in the end, Zechariah at the beginning, there was the street preacher dude that at the end it turned out that Zechariah had been revealing himself to street preachers and using them to help hunt the Winchester. So using prayer to prey on someone else. And Abandon All Hope. Lucifer takes advantage, this is an interesting turn, Lucifer actually takes advantage of the demons' faith in him to get a shitload of demons together to make a mass sacrifice to summon death, as well as taking advantage of their faith in him to sacrifice themselves so that he would have a steady supply of blood to keep himself in his ersatz vessel. In 603, Balthazar answered the little boy's prayer for profit. 901, angels responded to Dean's prayer like a fucking dinner bell. They hear him and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna wallop up on this asshole." And Ezekiel, of course, prayed on Sam's trust in Dean to get consent in his headspace. So that leads us up to 903, where Bartholomew is using this televangelist. He's revealed himself, and this televangelist is like, "Oh, that's so great, I get to work for an angel, yay!" And he's using this guy, preying on this guy, to prey on other people, to get bodies for the angels and things that have nothing to do with the actual agenda of heaven, and more to do with, they're tired of fucking swimming around in the tide pool, and want to go places. This is so sad. I've got a cough drop too, and it's just not doing much. So basically, and that leads us up to that church scene in 903 where this woman, Cass, basically says, I kind of know for a fact that God is not listening. I'm his kid, literally, and he's not in heaven anymore. No one's up there who's listening to us. Your prayer's not going to get answered. And she goes, well, that doesn't matter. Keep praying anyway. It kind of came off, when you put all this together, that church scene actually turns into something like, put your head down and keep praying, even though you know there's a monster on the other end. Like, it's not really good times. But the whole thing fits the setting so neatly, because it's a very dark setting, and the fact that these beings, from humans on up to angels and gods too, prey on prayer, it reinforces the idea that there is no true good in the world. There is true evil, and there's a lot of gray in between, but there's no real true good force out there. When even celestial beings are abusing a supposedly sacred covenant as a manipulation tactic at best, or a weapon or dinner bell at worst. So basically, you're all fucked. Prayer is a powerful thing in the supernatural world, or in the world of supernatural, but chances are it's not going to get you anywhere good. And I did run over time. I apologize for that.
It's interesting that someone in the chat said that the church scene would be a message from the powers that be to us, like gas would be them saying, this is the truth, like Destiel isn't there, and we're like, oh, I believe it's there, so it's there.
Yeah. And,
possibly.
It's a bit sad that we see Dean, who did not believe in any of these things, especially as we've seen throughout season 3, and now he is just clinging on to everything, but through prayer, especially throughout season 8, when he keeps praying to Cass, and we see Cass sort of become this version of Dean, that the one who did not evolve yet. So Cass is now basically turning into season 3 Dean, because he is questioning his faith while Dean just goes on praying, no issue about it. It's kind of interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think the reason why Dean grew so comfortable with prayer is that he knew once he figured out that it was a direct dial to angels, just even to a specific angel,
Yeah.
it became less of a faith thing and more of a just a tool. When he knew for a fact that it was getting to someone, then he was okay with it.
Yeah.
He never prayed to anyone besides Cass before, really.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first episode, he only put out that open prayer because, like he said it, he was just fucking desperate. Sam was dying.
He was.
And he didn't know what to do. And Cass wasn't answering, so...
At that point, no one was really sure what had happened to Cass. Dean had no clue. But it says a lot that Dean still hung on to that bit of hope that Cass was there, even if he did not show up. He, like I mentioned, he will never accept that Cass would be gone.
And I think on that note, I also think the undertone, the underpinnings of that of the church scene were that basically telling Cass that even though his father isn't there anymore, even though he's been cast out of heaven, there's no one up there that's going to help him anymore. He still has people on Earth who will listen to him. I think that's what that core message was.
Yes, I agree. It's really important. I think that scene was very important. It was one of the scenes I really loved in episode 3. Was Cass talking to that woman praying for her husband.
Man, that scene made me pissed, but okay.
Yeah.
But I think what we also see is that, the conventional ways, the stereotypical ways that we perceive faith and how to practice faith is certainly different. I mean, we see Cass sort of naively turning his faith on humanity, even though some of it will bite him in the ass for it. But, also we see Cass putting his faith, in the Winchesters. And so it's kind of interesting to see that faith, how we stereotypically see it, has really been challenged and shifted, even with the scene with Bartholomew and the whole entire utilizing, religion and faith as a way to get followers and manipulate them. I mean, we see it that's not exactly the healthiest way to practice your faith anymore. It's a little bit, I thought it was pretty radical, pretty something else.
Yeah, and as far as prayer is concerned, not all of the people have the idea that, if I pray for something, God will give it to me. It's more of a question of the saying, if you build it, they will come. So it could lead to... Come on, Tom. No.
Oh, man, I totally missed it.
No, Tom, no. Luce, Luce, you are not paying attention to me.
No, that was good. Hold on.
Okay, so
no, go ahead.
Judging on that saying, if from the conversation with that woman, at least, I draw the conclusion that you just have to keep faith in yourself, faith that everything, not everything, but some of the things you hope for will turn out all right in the end, because you believe it and because you are living in that mindset, in that positive mindset, and the mindset of those around you, those closest to you. And, family, man. Family is the recurring theme of Supernatural. And even if things kind of went to shit right now, I would not be too heartbroken over it. I think we will see some amazing things coming as a way to fix that abrupt ending, maybe. Mm-hmm. We'll just see what happens in episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Is it time to go to our next subject? Or?
Yes. Forum discussion.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to tackle Bartholomew in general. What are your impressions on Bartholomew and his role?
Bartholomew, wow, yeah. I don't want to peg him as the sort of Naomi of the show, because Naomi obviously turned out sort of good in the end. But I'm not sure what my stance on Bartholomew is. I don't think, and speaking, we will deal with a lot of things these upcoming episodes up to the mid-season finale. We have all seen the pictures of Sam / Ezekiel speaking with Metatron, and I don't think Bartholomew is part of that gang, so to speak. I don't think he's on Metatron's side, but I'm not really sure what to make of him, because, as you all know, in biblical lore, Bartholomew is one of the 12 apostles of Jesus. Mm-hmm. Same as Ezekiel was a prophet. So we don't really know if the writing here really follows the things we have read in the Bible. But who knows? He's definitely not the big bad, but he could constitute as a problem eventually. The same way the archangels have been when God has left the building and they decided to take over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think too that he might have been like not a minor angel, but that Bartholomew wasn't too powerful, and then when everything went to shit in heaven, he just kind of saw his opportunity and took over.
Mm-hmm. I think what do you think he needs? He obviously doesn't know that Cass is human, though, because the people that he sent after Cass didn't know.
Yeah, so he's not in connection with Metatron, because I think if he would be working with Metatron, he would know that Cass is human.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think any of them
because Metatron wouldn't, even if it's just an ally. How do you say it?
Ally?
Just
ally.
Just an ally.
Ally.
I don't think. Yes. I don't think that he would not have mentioned that Cass is a human, because this would give everyone who tries to kill Cass a completely different approach to the situation, and knowing that Cass is human would actually give them an advantage. So I don't know. I didn't even make the connection between Bartholomew and Metatron at all.
No,
so I also don't really understand where it comes from.
I don't think Metatron was just working alone, and that Bartholomew needs Cass for the same reason that Cass said to April that she shouldn't kill him, because they might need him. But no, that doesn't make sense, because April was working for Bartholomew.
Yeah, and she was asking for information about him.
Yeah, and actually Bartholomew, I think for him it was more about getting his revenge on Cass for what he did, rather than Metatron's plan, obviously. So he is a bad guy here, but I would say he is just a temporary big bad, not big, but so to speak, until we see where this whole Metatron thing evolves, and if Ezekiel is working with Metatron.
Well, to me, he kind of came across as a high-ranking big bad guy, because just the way they filmed it and stuff. But I'm not going to go into the whole director of episode 3 there. But maybe he did something wrong. But
Well, I thought that there's something biblical now that I'm kind of looking at it on how Bartholomew plays.
If you overanalyze it, the stuff from the Bible just links so well, but only if you overanalyze, and it's probably not going to come to fruition anyway. Because
what's really interesting is that Bartholomew, after Christ died, ascended, yada yada yada, he went out afterwards to convert the East, Persia, around the Black Sea, and even India, and converted them to Christianity. So now that I'm thinking about it, it was actually pretty a good tie-in in having Bartholomew be this sort of source of manipulation and pulling the strings in regards to religion.
The proselytizer.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, speaking of, because it's just, some things tie together, because as far as Ezekiel is concerned, he did, Ezekiel the prophet, I mean, he was associated at one point with Mesopotamia, and if you read upon Bartholomew, or Nathaniel as he was known in some biblical lore, he also had ties to Mesopotamia, and there was that mention with, I think they dispelled that rumor that they just left it in there just as is, but it just, the whole thing links together too well.
Maybe they're going to take a few parts of the lore. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they take part of biblical lore and then alternate it to their own likes.
Yeah,
to their own liking.
They switch things.
I'm so tired, I can't even speak proper English anymore. I also texted my best friend in English.
By mistake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's German, like me. Yeah, she
It's
does,
alright.
but we are always talking in German with each other.
I was once supposed on Skype to message one of my best friends, and I ended up typing in Romanian into one of our PR chats on
Oh,
I
yes, I saw
remember.
Everyone was so quick. But yeah.
Okay, Bartholomew.
Yeah, I think the last thing I said was that
Yeah.
they take parts of the lore and then adapt it to the storyline.
Yeah,
Yes.
they don't follow it precisely.
Yeah, not completely.
They definitely get
He
the
comes
message.
across kind of like he kind of comes across as a combination of early Crowley, Dick Roman, and what was his name? Tyson Brady.
Brady.
from
Yeah.
Angel Force.
Yeah.
How do you make hot hot? I mean,
Yeah.
yes, bad guy. Right.
So like,
Oh, God.
Sorry. Go on.
so like, I think he was kind of a upper middle management sort of type of thing, like a Zachariah. So probably a cherub, high ranking cherub, maybe seraph, but definitely an administrator type position.
Can you summon the angels to come in?
Yes, you can, because they did it.
Yeah.
Gaz did it with Balthazar.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Sam did it with Balthazar too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't they actually do it with Cass? Wasn't this actually how Cass even made his entrance in the show?
Ah, yeah. That's true.
Hello, we're here.
Oh, God.
We all just really miss Balthazar.
Yeah.
You guys only have me for the dick jokes.
Well, you know what they say. No wings, no proof.
Yeah.
Yes.
As far as Balthazar is
Yeah,
concerned.
but we saw the whole building light up with the death of his grace.
I don't
What more
fucking
do you want?
care.
But given the whole Reaper Angel fiasco, I'm thinking not even the charred wings thing stands right now. So I don't even question it anymore.
But just I just think that Balthazar was such an amazing character. And Sebastian, he would have just. I think he just deserved one of these beautiful angel shots.
Yes.
Just like Naomi. I
Yeah.
still hope she isn't dead because I actually really liked her.
And it was mentioned in the chat. What about Gabe? As far as Gabriel is concerned, we've
What
had
about
this.
Gabe? He's dead.
No, he's
Come
not!
No!
Come on, to be the
He's a
Shannon of our group.
trickster!
Hear me
He's
out.
dead. It's over. He had the best
No.
story.
But he had such a good, exactly. He had such
Yeah,
a
he
good
did.
story. It was
He did,
good.
but
This is true. If he comes back,
Can
this
I-
would kind of completely.
Can I just,
Yes.
okay? I just want for the people in the chat. The only thing we've had was a rumor that the writers confirmed it to Richard Spike Jr. that Gabriel was not dead. But we don't have anything consistent. So unless they just come out and say it in an interview, yes, Gabriel is alive, we cannot make any assumptions on that.
Right.
But I just think that the problem with Supernatural is that with bringing a lot of characters back, or if they would bring some of the characters back that people want back on the show, would really, really negate the importance of their deaths. And I know that a lot of people are super... Yes, that's true, John. Yes, but this is Supernatural. I mean...
Yeah.
But, for example, how many people are pissed at how many characters died in season 5? But it just made so much sense for the whole storyline and for the whole arc that if bringing one of them back would, I don't know, this would just kill the whole meaning behind their deaths.
Yeah, but maybe they wouldn't bring them back as if they were alive, but do something with Bobby like they did in episode 1.
You know, I'm
like
sorry.
With Joe bringing her back as Ghost.
You go, Tom.
Not Ghost, but like, what was it? Dark Side of the Moon. That was a good way to bring characters back. You know, they're still dead. They still made those sacrifices. Their story's still wrapped up. And now they are in their final reward. That was cool. I was okay with that.
Awesome. Yes.
Which one?
Someone has pointed out a while ago with Gabriel. It's not so much that they want Gabriel back, because fandom tends to forget what Gabriel was actually goddamn like. They want Richard Speight Jr. back.
Yeah. This is true. And as far as people will probably hate me for this, but as far as Bobby is concerned, I'm sorry. Once you've killed off a character that great, you cannot just. You can. You're welcome to, and I'm glad to see Bobby now and again. But it just hurts all the more because I don't feel they're doing him that much justice by just. Oh, he's a ghost now, and then his soul is returned. But oh wait, Sam is hallucinating him. And Bobby was a great character who, in spite of the hardships he went through, he was the voice of reason, especially where Dini is concerned. And to play around with him like that, I mean, let us as the fans get some closure on Bobby's behalf.
Yeah.
That's not seeing him back.
The other element there is the
character, but I really didn't like how they brought him back.
Yeah.
I didn't like that they brought him back at all, actually.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Same.
And I'm glad.
I was okay with the way they did it in the premiere.
Yeah.
I was okay with the way that they did it, but they could have easily,
Not
chosen someone else, but just like Bobby again, and it just hurts.
Don't get me wrong, Bobby is one of my favorites. I always love seeing Bobby, but it just hurts, Yeah. Like, that's all it is to it. And
that's what we live for, guys.
Yeah, it's Supernatural.
And the other thing there is that the more you bring characters back, bring them back, the less threat it becomes. Because at this point, oh no, they're going to kill the Winchesters. Like, they haven't died 500 fucking times each already. Like, oh no, they're killing off they're killing Cass in 903. Look, we just conveniently have an angel in the room that can bring him back to life. What's the threat anymore? What is, the problem with constantly bringing characters back is one, the consistency with which they bring back just, the white male characters. But that's a completely different matter. Well, that's not a completely different matter, but it is a matter. The consistency with which they bring back this one exact type of character, and the fact that it dilutes the threat of violence and permanent death. Because if your last name is Winchester, what the hell do you have to fear from death? One of them has literally sat down and had pizza with death.
Yes, oh my god, thank you for
and now
this.
What are we supposed to be worried about anymore?
Yeah.
can't win.
Like, oh no, all of their friends are going to die. All of their friends are pretty much already dead. They make new ones. Oh, look, Dean had to kill his new friend. His name isn't Winchester, so I guess he's still dead.
Okay, this show is becoming really negative.
Sassy. This is sassy
Oh.
Tom hour.
Yeah.
I believe Tom. I mean, goodness knows I'm pissed about it, but I try to stay positive because all hell is usually breaking loose on my dash after an episode like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be the voice of reason here. Not, by all means, not defending the
Sometimes
writers.
the voice of reason gets loud and angry.
Yes,
Yes,
precisely.
besides that, for me personally, I see a lot of issues with Supernatural and I like discussing them, but in the end, they don't darken my experience while watching it, because I'm not going. I just don't see any point to ruining my favorite show for me with indulging in all the hate.
Yeah, exactly.
But Lucy, if you want to do it, you fucking do it.
I don't have it. I tried to transfer
what is
my.
going on?
Yes.
Someone has to play
Do it.
Oh,
Do it.
Are
Do it.
As a,
No,
okay,
basically-
so hold on.
To wrap
Wait,
up that,
I'll
all
play
that,
it, it's
we're
fine.
going to an audio.
Wait, I do have
an
it.
audio.
Yeah, perfect audio.
If I play it, it's better
To get out of the
Okay.
Better
final
quality.
mood for a bit.
Tell me when, guys. I can play it.
Can I play it?
Yes.
Yes, play it.
Yeah, let's have the person who's actually running the stream play it.
Okay.
No, I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done.
No, you're not.
This is bullshit.
I'm gonna call it.
This is fucking bullshit.
Are you muting us?
I can't
No.
get off.
What is this?
It's playing. You guys can hear it. They can.
I'm stuck.
What is my life?
Oh, balls.
This was basically our reaction, guys,
I can't
to
do it, John.
episode
I
3.
can't either.
I can't fucking do it anymore.
Isn't it the best?
Give up now, or you
Oh
can
my
figure
gosh,
it
I'm
out.
gonna make it my
Because I certainly
ringtone.
can't do it without you. And I know you can't do it without me.
We have to put a line to
Appreciate
it.
it. But look what we're dealing with, man.
Aaron,
You gotta draw the line somewhere.
Aaron, we
You gotta draw a fucking line in the sand.
what's
We
next?
need to look inside ourselves and say, what are we willing to put up with today?
What
Not
are you
fucking
put up with today? Not fucking this.
It's over. Oh.
So, are we on now?
Yeah, no, yeah. We were on the whole time.
Oh, we were on the whole time.
Yeah.
So, someone asked, and I'm going to defer you to the YouTube account called Game Grumps. I will even link you to the episode they did, which contains that part, which is around minute 7:30.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I will try to link because links always piss me off here.
Yeah, we'll definitely link it to you guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
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 Wow, we only have 30 minutes.
Like I said, it's been a long week.
Yes.
So we've got a half hour left. Why don't we go to the poll thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our lightning round. Over this last couple of days, and in the future, we're going to try to get our questions up sooner. Obviously, there was a whole shitstorm this week, so it was delayed due to inclement fandom weather. But we ran a poll and asked you, the audience, what should we talk about? And overwhelmingly, the response was continuity of Supernatural. Is it still there, or have they just completely screwed the pooch? And we're each going to take no more than 3 minutes. We're going to go almost in, we're going to go the same, let's do the same order that we did our metas in, so we get one minute up here.
After Lucy again.
Luce, take 3 minutes, you're up. What do you think about consistency in Supernatural at this point? Does it still exist?
I want to pull my hair out. Kind of exist, but I mean, when I did the meta on Reapers and whatnot, I'm going through everything that they missed, everything that has not continued to be implemented in the recent seasons, And I don't know if I want to say it's with all writers. I feel like it may be specifically with these two writers, since I believe you were telling us, Tom, that they wrote in season 1, and then they started writing again in season 7, I want to say. They just weren't active per se in the writing process, what's going on in Supernatural. And so I think it's me being very naive and hopeful. It's just a lot of not doing research and a lot of just, it was just awful. But I still have hope. I mean, we're still watching it. I know it's not purely for the sake of suffering. I hope not. Well, for me it is. Never mind. Okay, so it's purely for the sake of suffering. But I just, I'm being really hopeful. I don't think it's consistency is out the window and currently burning in hell and we're all waving goodbye. I really think there's hope out there. But in regards to really simple foundational lore that we've seen created through seasons 1 through 7, it's really disheartening to see writers completely disregard it and create their own little homemade canon. I mean, this isn't Breaking Bad. We're not trying to, don't make meth with your new facts. Don't do it. Drugs are bad, kids. It's frustrating, and I feel like all I'm going to be talking about is how frustrated I am, but I have hope. Just please don't make meth. Please don't let those writers write again. And that's my little person.
Okay. Yeah, I'm next, right? So I think I have a bit different approach to this, because I think that in general continuity is still there on Supernatural. There are a few writers and there are a few episodes that are just fucked up during almost all of the seasons. But I think that the problem that Supernatural has is actually how active the fandom is. Because we overanalyze everything. We look into detail with everything. And I think that if you would do this with a lot of shows that are popular on Tumblr or that are popular on mainstream TV, you would find so many continuity errors and mistakes as well. But no one fucking cares. Because they just... Yeah, but it's true. Because they just enjoy watching their shows, and I like that Supernatural has such an active fandom, but it also creates problems where there shouldn't be problems.
Mm-hmm.
There are always going to be people who are upset about anything, and while I see the problem with continuity, especially in the last episode, I think that we can't really judge on what's going to happen and how the continuity is going to develop throughout season 9. We will just have to wait. And this is just what I say in general. Before you spread hate or rank, just wait for stuff to happen.
Yeah.
Because we saw what happened with Tracy, we saw what happened with April on Tumblr,
Mm-hmm.
how they were hated and what shitstorms they created, and I just think that the fandom needs to calm down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Actually.
Yeah, well...
So that's my input on that.
Yeah, with continuity, man, you cannot win this one. You cannot take sides on this one because, as far as continuity is concerned, there are the little slip-ups. Well, maybe not little. Let's just call this one little, like the Grand Canyon thing. But there are monumental fuck-ups, and pardon my French, I've seen Tom using it a lot, so I took the liberty to. There are the major...
Oh, you're good.
There are the major screw-ups. For example, I don't know if most of you will have noticed the preacher in episode 3 of season 9, he was human. Flashback to when Anna got her grace back and she smashed the little bottle to the ground, and she just went, shut your eyes, and then comes episode 3 of season 9, where an angel's pure grace just strolls in through the window, possesses this girl, while the preacher just stares at it. He just stares at an angel's grace. Couple this with the Reapers being angels, I still have no idea where they wanted to go with the Reaper thing. I'm not even going to question it anymore. But I can let go something like the Grand Canyon, but I cannot let go people all of a sudden being able to look at an angel grace. Unless they explained this previously and I missed it, I'm sorry. But I cannot. Well, it makes me think that maybe the writers don't get that much time spent together. But I find that hard to believe because there are just some details you cannot screw over.
Yeah, but the third episode was just, I don't know, it was exceptionally fucked up.
Yeah.
Sookie, chime in here, eh?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, you said before that most fans don't notice the mistakes because we analyze it too much, which is entirely true, and most people forget that even though we are a very loud part of the fandom, we are a very small part of the fandom and most fans don't notice the mistakes. And someone in the chat mentioned the blueness of their eyes as well, and I wanted to make a point about that too. And that the angels have blue eyes now. Well, at least Ezekiel does, and Cass did as well in season 7.
Yeah.
7. No.
Wait.
It was 8. No, it was 8.
It was 8.
Right. It was 8. It was when.
What year is it?
It was a little slice of cake.
Oh yeah. It was 8 because he was being controlled by Naomi. Okay, yeah, definitely 8.
Yeah.
And I just these are the things that writers. It might have a significance, but they might also just implement it because it looks cooler. At the end of season 8, when the angels are falling, we see the wings burning, and then the wings get ripped off. But then in season 9, they raise their wings, and they're still there, well, without the feathers. But it's because it looks cool, and they might change things because they didn't think about it before, especially because it was like the end of a season and the beginning of a season, and people don't realize that writers of a series don't think about the next season while they are working on one season. In season, I think they said that when Dean went to hell, they weren't sure how to bring him back, but they were sure that he was coming back, but they didn't know how yet. So when Dean went to hell, they didn't even know how he would come back yet, which is something they're like, oh, this is the next season, we'll worry about it then. So these little small inconsistency faults of the eyes and stuff, that's just new season stuff, I think. So sometimes things fit as they make it happen, and sometimes they don't. So yeah, that's
especially. Can I just add something?
Yeah, I was done.
Are you okay? Because just someone in the chat said that Supernatural has an extremely complex storyline and an extremely complex world built around the story, without actually having literature to be based on, like it's with Games of Thrones, for example, because they have the books. So if they have any problems with continuity, they can just look up in the books what's going to happen. But Supernatural doesn't have that, and they pretty much pull everything they have from thin air. And I think this is another problem.
It's not exactly thin air. I mean, they do make reference to biblical lore. They just completely switch it around, you know?
Yes, and the way they put it together.
I'm going to cut you off there.
Okay.
No
and I
problem.
cut you off there and said that, looking forward is one thing, but when in the realm of continuity, we're talking about looking backwards. And like you said, there is a difference between what color a specific angel's eyes are. Okay, that's a pretty minor thing. What hell looks like, okay, you can kind of get around that because hell's a big place. Now we're talking about the well-established mechanics of a kind of creature that has been consistently used in 7 years, 7.5 years, up until Taxi Driver. And then these writers came in and shat all over it. And the thing with these two writers is that they have a documented habit of making up lore that doesn't really necessarily fit with much of anything else. And Lucy mentioned at the beginning of this segment here that I had pointed out that these guys they had one Terabad fucking episode in season 1, and then for the next 5 years they were not involved with this show. And at the moment they came back in season 7, it was profoundly, deeply obvious that they had not bothered to check up on what happened in those last 5 years. And so all the things that they're fucking up on now is stuff that was established in that time that they were gone. And it comes across as the continuity error is just, sitting around with his thumb up his ass. That's got to be a sweet job.
Yeah, but
continuity editors just not doing their jobs, and these writers have not bothered to look back at it. Now, the rest of the writing staff has been pretty good at it through season 8 and very heavily in the first 3 of season 9. They've been calling back to previous episodes and previous seasons, like bringing up the fact that Sam let Lucifer out of the cage, bringing up the fact that Dean is a vessel, bringing up this and that, and what Cass did to Heaven, bringing up Meg's nickname for Castiel, and so on and so forth. So they've been.
I'm sorry, but you can't tell me
they've been drawing from other ones.
yeah,
They've been drawing from the past. It's just these two writers don't bother with the consistency at all. And the question there is, how do you move forward with a continuity error that fucking bad? Do you just, push forward and pretend it never happened, or do you just push forward and, retcon 7 fucking years of lore?
Yeah, exactly.
These are not minor things.
Mm-hmm.
They're really not.
So I'm 3 minutes, so I'm calling mine there.
yeah, but that doesn't mean that the continuity in the show is gone because 2 writers just basically fuck up.
No, well,
Yes,
not
this is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Most of the writers are pretty good at this, but these 2 are just off the fucking rails. So
Yes.
But the problem is that they're making such huge continuity errors that they're screwing it up for everyone else down the line. It's like the one director of the 3rd Harry Potter movies, the directors completely left out the Marauders, and that caused the Marauders to be left out of the entire movie series.
Yes.
So that
Yep.
unprecedented screwed shit up for everyone else afterward, and that's one of the biggest problems with these writers.
Right. So we should be aware of the consequences of bad writing and lack of research. And it's just going back to, Reapers and whatnot, that it completely makes Death look unprofessional. Like, Death isn't really he's kind of lazy at his own job. And that blows my mind. It's so hard to accept that Death would let his own workers go around, screw around, do A, B, and C, and there's no consequences whatsoever.
Yeah, and at this point, who even knows where Death is? This is why I mentioned it during last week's broadcast. I don't think Death was there. I think Sam imagined him, because if we had any consistent theories on Death's whereabouts, I do not agree at all with the fact that he would just sit there and basically, Reapers don't give a crap about the mortals' struggles. They're just there to take them or not take them. That's it. Definitely
Especially
not
Death
what happened in the episode.
doesn't care.
And yeah, Death.
Invite me to content. No, what?
the
Let me
one
invite you to contemplate how insignificant I find you.
yeah,
With
and
this approach.
and he even mentioned it, Sam's imagination or not, he mentioned that judging is not really my thing. And the Reaper's job is that just to take the soul and decide where to take it, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. This is not something like I said. This is not something Grand Canyon wise. It's something that the fandom can get over. I mean, this is something casual viewers are noticing, and not even those who are overanalyzing. My parents mentioned it. My parents are super casual viewers. They're not involved in this. They don't overanalyze. They just watch it for pleasure. And they brought up the Reaper Angel thing. And if they as a casual viewer who is just there to watch on a Saturday night or whenever they have the time to, if they mention this, imagine how it looks to us, the people who analyze this stuff.
Yeah. And like the confusion with the Reapers and the Angels was so bad in that, in the lore fuck was so extreme in that people are still having to argue and go, wait, what, over whether April was a Reaper, or if she was possessed by a Reaper, or if she was possessed by an angel, or what the fuck was going on with her.
To be honest with you,
Bartholomew said that he hired a bunch of Reapers. Well, she said it to Castiel, so...
Yeah, and to me...
But she died like an angel, and, like, I just, what?
Which ruins angel lore, too.
I'm just really pissed if she was a Reaper, you know, because Reapers are not supposed to care about anything, let alone having sex with someone just because you apparently can hire rogue Reapers now. This is not...
But I don't think she was a Reaper. I really don't think she was a Reaper. I think she was an angel.
Tessa should come back and just smack all of them and say, just wait till our father comes home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Death is like chilling out in some other universe, and he's going to get a text from Tessa going, OMG, you won't fucking believe what these people are doing on Earth again. And Death's going to throw down his fucking sandwich and go, oh my god, I can't believe I have to go back to this universe. I don't even like this world. And just, pick them up and reabsorb them, and then just bud out new Reapers and go do your goddamn job, and then he'll fuck off again. That's what I need to happen.
Can you imagine how disappointed Death is right now? If the thing possessing me for April was a Reaper, just imagine his face.
He's probably binge eating.
That's not how I raised you.
He's probably binge eating somewhere.
Oh my god.
Bitch is saying, even if April was an angel, we still have this other Reaper that
the one
Dean
that was
and Sam tortured to get information. And when they cut him with the angel blade, he also leaked Grace, didn't he?
Grace, exactly.
Yes.
What is that? What is that? It's just...
And if April's an angel, how did she find Castiel if Castiel had the wardings on? I think it's just too much of a coincidence that they just both happen to run into each other.
You know,
I think it's true because there are so many angels that were circling around looking for vessels. And so why wouldn't it happen that he happened to bump into someone, and she said that she had been that she was going to miss being April, so she obviously had been April for a while. So I think it was purely coincidental.
But she was hired by Bartholomew, but I can't...
By the guy working for Bartholomew, I think.
Wasn't she...
I think she just was someone like
Hale wanted...
You really think he just wanted the information for herself?
I think they fucked up. That's what I think.
Yeah, they just messed... It's too typical.
They just really screwed up.
I think the basic conclusion is that this episode shows, well, so far we've seen that the show does still have a sense of continuity, but when the ball is passed to writers that drop kick it instead of passing it on, it has consequences for everyone, all the episodes that come after that. So we're going to have to see the rest of the writers pretty much scramble to hold shit together after letting the racist truck people.
They have work to do. They have work to do. Because, you know, if you plan on doing something like this, just span it out, man. At least, not even 2 episodes, but 1 episode. Have Sam go through his books and documents or in the MOL bunker, in the Men of Letters bunker, find something. Hey, look at this, check this out. Reapers apparently have some sort of connection with angels, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, make some shit up, but do not take us by surprise like that, because how are we supposed to understand anything afterwards?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just like maybe they got their note cards mixed up on what critters have what powers and what VFX, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just hoping that it wasn't a shark jump. That's what I'm really hoping, that they are able to pull it out and recover from this. Because this was kind of an nadir, not just for Castiel, but for the show itself.
And it's scary because they already have a few of the episodes filmed. I think they have up to and including episode 9. And, you know, if they didn't catch this on, but maybe they did caught on to these 2 writers' slip-ups, and they somehow managed to set it right during a future episode where Sam discovers something. But it's going to be pretty bad if they didn't catch this, and we are left until the second half of the season for them to stow their crap and remember that, guys, yes, we're inventing this stuff based on biblical lore. It's not biblical lore, but it's our own version of it. But let's just at least remember the lines we have created, if not ones from lore or the Bible and whatnot.
I think with the shitstorm the episode created, that was directly directioned at the writers. I think they are going to double check the episode. Which one? Is it 9/7? Or which one is the other one that they were writing?
The
909, I think, the mid-season finale, or the
mid-season
cliffhanger,
finale,
basically.
Yeah. Or were you talking about the one they suddenly revealed the title to, episode 13?
Oh yes,
yes,
beautiful.
Yes, let the fat one in.
I still think it's not a fat vampire.
I'll be honest with you, I really hope they find, although I doubt it, I really hope they find some sort of relevance to the episode to link that title to. Otherwise, I will just be completely done with making excuses on their behalf.
But I mean, what's really great is at least that us were looking at it.
And someone, I don't know which of you said it, that maybe Death gets fat because of all the pizza, and I'm like, you know, I sincerely doubt that. I mean, come on, let the fat one in. Or no. So you mentioned the vampire. I think?
It's
because it's an illusion to let the right one in.
Yeah. It's going to be about a fat vampire.
Was Let the Right One In a vampire movie?
It's a good movie.
It is.
It's really good. Made me cry.
Was it a vampire movie?
Which movie?
Yeah, it was a vampire movie.
Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
It's a remake.
Okay, that makes sense.
But vampires are on a no-blood diet, though. And I doubt their theory is viable here.
They killed Boris in Live Free or Die Hard, didn't they?
I think so. I
I'll look this up now.
I think he was beheaded. I don't know.
Who?
This was the vampire with the.
Boris was the vampire that turned Dean, the guy that had
yeah.
I think he got killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
A lot of happy stuff here, guys.
Yeah. We have 6 minutes.
I was thinking positive.
Yeah, let's talk about something positive. What is there?
Are you kidding me? There's no positive.
Let's just talk about Charlie.
we're going to, quick note, we're going to try to have the poll up Wednesday. You can tweet your questions that you would like to see on the poll to Profound Radio on Twitter, or you can send asks into profoundradio@tumblr.com or .tumblr.com. I apologize. You can also email us. I believe our emails are on the profoundradio.com website.
Or find us
And
on
we're
Tumblr.
going to...
Yeah, or just
find us on Tumblr. Well, I mean, if you're sending in questions for that you want addressed on the show, it would be best to use one of the official channels.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second most popular question from this last week's poll, which was Ezekiel, is he a genuine article or does he have a hidden agenda, is going to be on the is going to roll over to the next poll. We will have the two best or most popular questions from things that you send in as options on the poll, and we will also have questions germane to 904, which is why the poll will be going live on Wednesday.
yeah.
Yep. Do we have anything else
So, yeah.
to discuss for
I'm
now?
actually, for now, no. I'm just going to mention what our other colleagues mentioned and say I am pretty excited about the upcoming episode.
Yes.
Because you can draw a lot of parallels there to our own characters, and I'm really excited to analyze on that.
And Charlie, of course.
And Charlie, yes.
Always looking forward to Charlie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And another reference to a reference to Becky and Chuck.
Yes.
Oh, don't even mention that.
Yeah.
No, I love this. I
Well,
really.
that's not the case of them calling back to previous episodes. Like, yeah, Sam is weirded out as hell. She did some really bad shit to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They're divorcees. Or
Yeah. Oh, and about Ezekiel, guys, let me know if, and this is to our listeners, if you still want to hear me or any of us here talk about Ezekiel. I do have an interesting piece of meta on Ezekiel, and a term you might all have heard in episode 3, Sam mentioning body snatchers. As you all know by now, I love to overanalyze on things, so I wrote something about that, about Ezekiel and his possible affiliation with body snatching. Is basically people were exhuming the bodies, steal them and sell them off to medical schools for dissections and whatnot. And they were normally called resurrectors. And as you all know, the prophet Ezekiel has been known to deal in biblical lore with resurrections or witnessing the dead rising. We're still not clear on that. But yeah, I do overanalyze, and for whomever is interested, I will link you to that piece of meta. Let us know if you want us to keep addressing Ezekiel's issues. Progress, yeah.
Yes.
Progress, that's the best.
Sure. I'm sure that as we find out more about what he's up to, that, and especially now that we have those photos from possibly 2 episodes of him interacting with Metatron,
Yes.
then we'll have some speculation to do on that.
Yeah.
Sounds
But yeah,
good.
we're at 2 minutes in. Anyone have anything else that they want to share for the time being?
I have a joke.
Okay.
Same one I
course
told
you
you
do.
guys.
Well,
How
Alright.
bad is it?
we need.
It's the same one I told you guys before we started. It's pretty good. All right. I'm going to say it regardless whether you like it or not. What is the difference between the color purple and pink? The answer is the grip. Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, Profit
That's
hour.
a timeless one, right?
Oh my god. That's so bad.
It is Good. You're
Oh,
welcome,
You
world.
know, Tom,
Welcome.
come on. We
Yeah,
have
come on,
played
please.
Cards Against Humanity how many times now? And you're shocked about this joke? This joke has nothing on
Not
Cards.
that kind of bad. That's a different kind of bad. This is just like,
I'm patting myself on the back right here. Good job, me.
of course you
Yes.
are.
Yes. Drew
Death by
mentioned,
backpacks.
Drew mentioned it's a Lucy joke, so it's horrible.
Oh, I'm so
Oh
good.
my god.
Not my words.
Well,
Those words.
that's us for the week.
Yeah.
Like we're degenerating into horribleness anyway. Thank you, Lucy.
It's better that we just
we will
go.
be back at. As far as I'm aware, we will be back at our regular time next week. Look for the poll this coming week, hopefully on Wednesday at profoundradio.com. We will make announcements on our respective blogs. Like I said, tweet us, send us ass on Tumblr, and we will discuss what you want us to discuss. Till then, this is Tom, and we're signing off.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.